Welcome to Creative Tien channel. Today I'm going to show you the easiest way to make a 1x1 ribbon cast on and cast off. For the cast on, it's the cable cast on we talked about in previous video, and this one is just an update to make it more clear. And for the cast off, I'm going to use knitting needles instead of sewing, but it's still pretty easy and create a nice and stretchy finish. So let's get started. First, the cast on, I will start with a slip knot like that. And since we are going to do the cable cast on, it doesn't matter how long you leave the tail, because we are going to use the other side, the working yarn. First, we will knit a stitch and place a stitch back to the needle. It doesn't matter which direction you put it back. Ideally, the right leg should be in the front, but if it's difficult, it's okay, because in the second row, we will fix that by knitting to the back loop or purling to the back loop. So that's a knit stitch, and the next one will be purl, so we go from the back. So we go between the first and second stitch and have the yarn in the front and purl. Pull out a little bit, put it back to the needle. That's a purl stitch. And the next one will be knit. So I will have the working yarn behind the needle and just go between the stitches. Make a knit stitch, pull up and put it back to the needle. Tighten up a little bit, but not too tight. And then purl. So the yarn will be in the front of the needle and go from behind between the two stitches and purl. Pull out a little bit and place it back to the needle. Next one will be knit. Make sure the needle is in front of the yarn. Go between the two stitches. Place back to the needle. And then purl. Go from the back with the yarn in the front of the needle. Go between the two stitches. And purl. So that's how we create a 1x1 ribbon, and we can continue knit. Make sure the right needle is in front of the working yarn, and we do a knit in between the two stitches. Place it back and then purl. The yarn will be in front of the needle. Go from the back between the two stitches. Place the yarn back. I think the trick is on the right hand. You need to make sure the yarn is in the right position. If it's purl, it's in the front. If it's knit, it's in the back. So we have 13 stitches now, and I'm going to continue to the second row. And if you look closely, the stitch in the back is the purl stitch because it has a horizontal bar, and the stitch in front is the knit stitch. So this one is purl, this one is knit, purl, knit, purl. So the last stitch is purl, and we'll do the usual purl stitch. Tighten a little bit, and the next will be knit. So we pull the yarn to the back. When we look at the knit stitch, the left leg is in the front. We want the right leg in the front. So we just knit to the back. The next one is purl, so we move the yarn to the front and just purl. Next one is knit again, pull the yarn to the back. And you can see we want the right leg to be in front, so we knit through the back. And then purl, move the yarn to the front, knit through the back. So that completes our first row. And we can just continue the 1 by 1 ribbing. So that will be just regular ribbing. You knit the knit stitch and purl the purl stitch. And I will continue a few rows and show you the cast off. That's the cast on. It looks very clean and stretchy still. Now we'll do the bind off. We're just going to use knitting needles. The rule is to purl the knit stitch and knit the purl stitch and place the finished stitch back to the needle. And we'll work on 2 stitches together. So we'll look at the first stitch. It's a purl, so we'll do a knit stitch. And with knit stitch, we know the yarn has to be in the back. And just a regular knit stitch. And then place the stitch back to the needle. You can adjust the tension. And the next stitch, you see it's a knit stitch, so we want to do a purl because we want to do the opposite. And for the purl, it's very easy. We have to purl those 2 stitches together. So make sure the yarn is in the front of the needle, and we just purl 2 together. And then we adjust the tension and place the stitch back to the left needle. And we look at the next stitch. The next stitch is a purl, so we need to do a knit stitch. To do a knit stitch, the yarn has to be in the back of this needle. This step is a little bit tricky. We will go through the first stitch purlwise, like that. And we'll go through the second stitch knitwise to the back. So you'll be like that. And then we do the knit, wrap the yarn and pull. You look like that. And let go of those 2 stitches. Adjust the tension and place the stitch back to the needle. And now we continue. Next stitch is the knit. So we are going to do purl. So for purl, make sure the yarn is in front of the right needle. And we purl those 2 together as usual. And then adjust the tension. Place the yarn back to the left needle. Oops. And then the next stitch is purl, so we want to do the knit again. So we make sure the right needle is in front of the working yarn. For the first stitch, we insert the needle purlwise, and for the second stitch, we insert the needle knitwise. And then wrap the yarn and pull. And let go of those stitches, adjust the tension, and place it back to the needle. So it's basically a repeat of 2 stitches, knit and purl, but we do 2 together. So the next stitch is the knit. So we want to do a purl with yarn in front of the needle. And we just purl both together. And adjust the tension, place it back to the needle. And we want to do the knit for the next stitch. Make sure the yarn is behind the right needle first. For the first stitch, we insert purlwise, and the second stitch, we insert the needle knitwise. like that. And then knit, let go of those 2 stitches, adjust the tension and place it back. So you can see it creates a nice finish. And we'll just keep repeating. Next is a knit stitch, so we want to do a purl and make sure the yarn is in front of the right needle first, and then purl both stitch at the same time. Place it back to the left needle, and then we have to do a knit stitch for the purl. So make sure the yarn is behind the needle. And for the first stitch, we want to insert purlwise, and the second stitch knitwise. Knit and pull it through. Make sure the tension is okay. Place it back to the left needle. And next is a knit stitch, so we want to do purl. So the yarn will be in the front and purl 2 stitches together. So the purl part is easy. It's only the knit part that can be a little bit tricky. So place the stitch back to the left needle, and this will be the purl stitch. So we want to do knit again. The yarn in the back of the needle. We do purlwise first, and then knitwise. Knit, like that. And let go of those 2 stitches. Adjust the tension, place it back to the left needle. So the next stitch is knit. We'll do purl. Make sure the yarn is in front of the needle and just purl both stitch together. And place it back to the left needle. And the last stitch, this is a purl stitch, so we want to do knit. So make sure the yarn in the back of the needle, and the first stitch is purlwise going up, and the second stitch is knitwise going down. And then knit, pull it through, let go of those 2 stitches, adjust the tension. Now we just finish the bind off. Now adjust the tension first before I pull the yarn through. Okay, so that's our bind off for the 1x1 ribbon. And this is the Caston. The bind off is not as stretchy as Caston, but it's still stretchy. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.